Let's review direct object pronouns and the vocabulary from this mod. First, let's review the parts of speech so we make sure we're using the same language. A noun is the name of a person, place, thing, or idea. A pronoun is a word used in the place of a noun. The subject of a sentence is the person, place, thing, or idea that is doing or being something. The subject can be a noun or a pronoun. A direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. An indirect object, which we're not going to study today, is a noun or a pronoun that indirectly receives the action of the verb or of another part of speech. It generally answers the question to whom or for whom. And a verb is a word that expresses action or being. Briefly, here are the names in Spanish: sustantivo, pronombre, sujeto, objeto directo or complemento directo, objeto indirecto o complemento indirecto, y verbo. Now, what is a direct object and how is it different from a direct object pronoun? The direct object is a noun that receives the action of the verb. It answers the question whom or what. In this sentence, I'm helping John. We ask, whom am I helping? John. I'm helping John. Therefore, John is the direct object. I'm buying salad. What am I buying? Salad. I'm buying salad. Salad is the direct object. Now, the indirect object pronoun, which we're going to abbreviate here to DOP, is the pronoun that replaces the direct object. In both English and Spanish, we use direct object and indirect object pronouns, so we don't have to keep repeating the same words. For example, did you bring the tickets? The normal answer would be, yes, I brought them. Them is the direct object pronoun that replaces tickets. Let's look at it in Spanish. Compro chocolate. What does that mean? I buy chocolate. ¿Qué compro yo? What do I buy? Yo compro chocolate. Chocolate es el complemento directo. Lo compro translates to I buy it. So we've changed chocolate, the direct object noun, to lo to say I buy it. Now let's look at the direct object pronouns. In English, we would say me. In Spanish, it's me. Te is for you, familiar. Lo or la, depending on gender, could mean either you, the formal sense, him, her, or it. Nos means us. Los and las mean either you all or them. And again, depending on gender, you're going to use los for masculine or mixed groups and las for all feminine groups. Just a practice pointer. Most often, we're going to be using the third person direct object pronouns, which are lo, la, and then the plural, los, las. Where do we place them? In Spanish, the direct object pronoun is placed before the verb if there's one verb. If there's more than one verb, then it's our choice. The speaker or the writer chooses whether to place the pronoun before the first verb or to attach it to the second or third, depending on how many verbs there are. Now note, you won't be wrong if you always place the pronoun before the verbs. One verb, put it before, correct. Two verbs, put it before, correct. But I'm going to show you both ways because you're going to see and hear both ways. Let's look at examples with one verb. Ayudo a Juan. Now let's take a moment and look at the personal a. Notice it says ayudo a Juan. When the direct object is a person or an animal that we think of as a person, we put the word a in front of the noun. Now notice the word a doesn't have any meaning other than highlighting that we're talking about a person rather than a thing. Let's go back to our sentence. Ayudo a Juan. What does that mean? I help Juan. So what is my direct object? Juan. I'm going to replace Juan with a pronoun. And because he is singular and masculine, I'm going to use lo. Lo ayudo. Next sentence, which then means I help him. Mis padres dan dinero a mí. Give you a second to think of what that means. My parents give money to me. And what is the direct object here? Dinero. Dinero. Now don't be confused by the indirect object in this sentence. Para mí is a prepositional phrase. Me is the indirect object which we're going to study next mod. To identify the direct object, you have to pay attention to the verb. What did my parents give? Money. Mis padres dan dinero. And so to replace dinero with a direct object pronoun, again I'm going to use lo, and now it's going to stand for it. My parents give it to me. Ana prepara el desayuno. Give you a second to translate. Ana prepares breakfast. You could also say Ana makes breakfast. What is our direct object? What does Ana make? Breakfast. So what are we going to substitute? Yes, it's going to be lo one more time. Ana lo prepara. Ana makes it. Let's look at examples with more than one verb, and we're going to be able to move a little more quickly. Voy a comprar carne para la cena. What does that translate to? I'm going to buy meat for dinner. What is my direct object? What am I going to buy? Carne. Now, notice carne is a feminine noun. So we're going to use the direct object pronoun la. And we have two choices. La voy a comprar para la cena or voy a comprarla para la cena. It's our choice as the speaker where we want to put the word la. And once we use the pronoun, it means I'm going to buy it for dinner. Fidel quiere pagar la cuenta. What does that translate to? Fidel wants to pay the check or the bill. What is our direct object? What does Fidel want to pay? La cuenta. And la cuenta again is feminine. We have two choices. Fidel quiere pagarla or Fidel la quiere pagar, which means Fidel wants to pay it or pay for it. Now notice this parallel. How many verbs and how many choices? If you have one verb, you only have one choice of where to put the pronoun. It goes before the verb. Now if you have two verbs, you're going to have two choices. Before the first verb or attached to the last verb. And again, Either option is correct, and both options are common. Now notice, this is not a choice. Never attach the direct object pronoun to a single verb in a regular sentence. Compare these two sentences. La prepara means he or she prepares. But if we were to attach the direct object pronoun, prepárala, it means prepare it, because now it's an informal command. So be careful, when you only have one verb, you cannot attach it to the verb. Let's look at some examples using each pronoun. ¿Me ayudas? What would this translate to? Can you help me? Te llamé ayer. And we haven't gotten to the past tense yet, so I'll just tell you that llamé means I called. So we would translate this as I called you, you familiar, yesterday. Now I'm thinking of José. Voy a llevarlo al cine. And what does that translate to? I'm going to take him to the movies. La invite a la fiesta. And invite is the past tense of invitar, meaning I invited. So what does this translate to? I invited her to the party because I'm thinking about Maria. Nos conocen. They know us. Los voy a buscar. And I'm thinking about mis hermanos, my brothers. So how do we translate this one? I'm going to look for them. And the last sentence here, las lave. And again, this means washed. And I'm thinking about my hands, las manos. I washed them. Go ahead and practice a few questions and answers. ¿Usted va a comprar la cerveza? What does this mean? Are you going to buy the beer? And the answer is always yes in my slides. So I want you to say, yes, I'm going to buy it, which would be, la cerveza is the direct object. Sí, voy a comprarla, or sí, la voy a comprar. ¿Ustedes comen las camarones? And what does this mean? Are you all eating the shrimp? And again, I want you to answer, yes, we are eating them. What's the direct object? Camarones. Give you a second to think of your answer. Sí, los comemos. Now notice there was only one verb, so there's only one choice of where we put the direct object pronoun. ¿Te gustan las chuletas? And what does this mean? Do you like chops? And I want you to answer, yes, I like them. Sí, me las gusta. And notice when we have something like a verb like gustar, the direct object pronoun is always going to go closer to the verb. Ana prepara la cena. Is Ana making dinner? I want you to say, yes, she is. Sí, la prepara. And I put ella in parentheses because it's correct to add it, but it's not necessary. Right, we're going to go ahead and stop here. I'm going to send you the entire slide so that you can have more practice on your own.